friends, it's Claire from Scrappy Nerd UK and welcome to my next episode of December Daily Directory. So today I'm going to be making some DIY filler cards, some Project Life card style, and I'm going to be working on, or attempting to work on, some heat resistant acetate, just some normal cut down white cardstock. And I've got a couple of pieces of vellum to give that a go as well. So I'm not too sure how successful all of these are going to be, but I thought I would film my process to show you how I put a few of these together. So this year I've done the Ali Edwards project play and we've been working with hexagons, and I thought that would be a lovely little start. So I wanted to show you how simple a card can come together by just adding on an element, a shape, to make a filler card. So I'm just going to start with one hexagon here. And if you do numbers daily like I do, then this will be a great little addition. So I've just used a piece of white. You could use any colour cardstock, or you could use a pattern paper if you want. But I want this as a placement for my daily number. So I'm just going to grab, I'm using the Felicity Jane Gold Alpha stickers this year. And I think this will be for number 22. So I'm just going to pop on my numbers. And I'm not going to do anything else on this, but that. And I think that looks really effective. So that will go into my album. You could add some stamping on as well if you think it's too plain. But I quite like how simple, clean and simple it is, and that's the kind of look that I'm going for this year. So yeah, just a simple shape with the number on top as a nice little filler card. You could add a black border around if you wanted. So we're going to look at some stamping now. Now I found this stamp in my collection of stamps, and it says Christmas memory, and I thought this would be really nice to have a theme throughout the album of little Christmas memories that I can use as little journaling cards. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use some VersaFine. You have to be really quick with VersaFine when heat embossing. And then I've got some Wow clear gloss, and this is super fine. This is great for text. So if you're using text stamps or anything that's really intricate, then super fine is the one you want to go for. So I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm thinking of just stamping it at the top. And just grab my, just move out of the way, my piece of scratch paper, and I'm just going to add my embossing powder over the top. Now you could do this with clear embossing ink and black embossing powder. Just give that a bit of a flick to get off the excess. But I find the clear works a lot better, especially embossing powder is a little bit temperamental when it comes to not getting it. Your paper will automatically be static, and I do have an anti-static tool, but it's not 100%, whereas if you use clear, then you get the crisp clean image from the black ink, and then you use the clear embossing powder over the top. So I'm just going to emboss this now. I'm not too sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but this has got a lovely embossed surface for me to be able to add my Christmas memories on. We're just going to do some normal stamping, I think, on this one. Now I have this super cute little Christmas tree that's made up of a whole load of snowflakes is the word I was going for. So pop that on there, and then I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to do this in black. So my album contains black, white, red and gold this year, so I'm going with a lot of black stamping. And then I'm going to pop the tree down onto my card, just like that. We're just going to add a little star to embellish this. So I'm just going to grab these. These are little foam gold glitter stars. And then you could add another little sentiment underneath. I've got a stamp that says the tree. So you could add another little sentiment there. I don't think I've got any other, anything on here that might, oh, around the tree. Let's go with that one. So again, I'm just going to just do some normal stamping on these. Oh, that was a little bit bleedy, but you get the picture. So, and I've just got ink everywhere. So it's a lovely little filler card to be able to include in your album. And you can change the colours as well, depending on what you're working with. So if you're working, you can do this traditional green if you wanted. But since I'm working with a specific set of colours, a nice little black tree, I thought went lovely. So that's another idea. And then we can have a look at some repeat stamping. I want to repeat stamp this word throughout this card, but it's going to get lost. So what I want to do is I want to stamp it once in a different colour. And this red is really juicy, so I'm just going to be careful. So I think I'm going to stamp the December here in the centre. And then I'm going to put that away before it goes everywhere. I then want to change it up, stamp up in black and start stamping again, but I don't want them to, I don't want the word to be lined up perfectly, so I'm just offsetting the word and stamping down. Got a tiny little gap at the top, so I'm going to make sure I just add in this at the top as well to catch that gap, and underneath. Okay, there we are. So I've repeated the word December, and then I've just made a real focal point and stamped it in red instead. And I love how effective this one is. Now, if you have something that's fairly contained, so I've got this Silent Night stamp and it's got some messy circles around it. Now, this would work perfectly for being able to stamp just purely in black, using the same technique. So I'm going to start with one right up in that corner, and then I'm going to start from edge to edge, but I want to make sure that I'm not stamping in any particular order. There we are. So I've just repeat stamped that, and because it's got that messy circle around the outside and it's separating those words out, then you get a completely different look on repeat stamping. And these, again, you could do several of these and repeat these throughout the album. Now I'm going to have a look at stamping on acetate. Now this is heat resistant acetate, so you do need to make sure you get a heat resistant one, otherwise it will just buckle. Going to use this stamp here that says Merry and Bright. It's probably my favourite stamp this year. So I'm going to attempt it with some VersaFine, because this is the best ink for crispness. And I just need to go really gently so it doesn't slide when I stamp it. Okay. And then again, I'm going to go in with the clear embossing powder. Now I've done this already with black embossing powder, so I'd be interested to see what the difference is. Now the only issue you're going to have with acetate is the fact that it is static, so I just got a little paintbrush, and the clear won't show up as much as the black, so in terms of little spots of embossing powder on acetate or any surface really. So I just want to make sure that I've got any big areas of that off, and I'm going to heat emboss it. And here is the end result. Let's just pop that back in there and then I can show you. You pop that on the white, and then you have this. It's warped a little bit actually for heat resistant. And you have this. I hope you can see that. And here is the one that I've done with the black embossing powder. So you do have definitely a more striking look if you use the black embossing powder over the black ink and the clear. But I think this turned out really, really well. And you can see the embossed look on there. You can see the embossed look on there. It's just not as clear. So if you're using acetate, then I suggest you do go with the colour of the embossing powder that you want it to be. So in this case, use a black one, and the one that I've used is the Nouveau embossing powder in jet black. So I'm really pleased with the result on that. Now, as I said, I like simple, clean journaling cards to add into my album, something that's not too fussy. And all I've got here are just some gold fabric puffy stars, and it's got a little foam tab on the back that I'm going to take off. And I love how simple that you can make a Project Life, I say Project Life, a journaling card or a filler card, this will probably be, just by using a single element such as this. So I'm going to pop that on. And then I'm going to grab a stamp, this one here that says The Magic of Christmas. And then I'm just going to pop a sentiment right underneath it. I love that. So that's a very quick filler card to pop into my album with very little effort, just an embellishment and a stamp. And then finally we were looking at building pages with hexagons. So I've got a whole load of hexagons punched out here in the colours that I'm using in my album. I am using a bit of cork as well, which is a nice a different texture to be able to incorporate. Now this is only a 3x4, so I'm not going to get many of these hexagons on, but this is a great little way to be able to make something that's interesting, just with a few punched out hexagons. So I'm going to pop that one on there, and I'm just going to decide, I might pop that on there. This is adhesive cork, which is great stuff. And if I can find any of these on Amazon, then I shall leave a link to my Amazon storefront in the box below. I've got this bit of acetate. This is the last bit of acetate that I had left of this one with the black snowflakes on, so I want to add that in as well. And then we're going to add a little bit of, really going to end up with, oh, I love this. This is my favourite side, but it's punched in the wrong direction, so I can't use that bit. Bits of grey. Oops. And I'm going to add this bit of gold. So to keep my album nice and uniform, I'm going to create several of these little cards, and they're great places to add on your numbers also. So this will be a little filler card, and I could pop on maybe in this bit here. Oops. So that could be my number card for the day. You could fill in all of the spaces with the hexagons just using little offcuts. That's probably, I need to go that way. If you wanted to fill in the whole shape, which I might or might not do. But yeah, it's just another little filler card that you can make using a repeat shape. Not necessarily hexagons, you could use any shapes. If you wanted to use circles or squares or triangles or Christmas trees or whatever you want to use, then this is the technique that you can try. So here's a quick look back at the ones that we've created. So we did some heat embossing on the heat resistant acetate, and I love how that one came out. Then we did some repeat stamping with one element of a different colour. Just a single stamped sentiment that you can then repeat, especially with this, the stamp here that I've got, it says Christmas memory, to repeat this throughout the album, to have several of these to be able to capture those memories. Again, we've got stamping, incorporating 2 different stamp sets and then adding a tiny little embellishment on just to add a little bit of interest. Then we've got the shape that's being used throughout the album, something really clean, really simple, shape in the middle, just with your day's number on the top. Then we have the embellishment. So in this case, I have one of these little padded stars, I think is what I'm going to go with, which is my favourite thing to use this year, and a little stamp to go with it. And then finally just some layered shapes, in this case hexagons, for a placement for my number for the day. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's given you some inspiration to grab out your stamps, grab out your heat embossing tools and give some of these a go. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.